Hi, my magical creatures, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is optional steps before coming out as transgender, male to female. So before we get started, don't forget to give this video a big like and subscribe. It's a free way to help your girl out. All right, let's get started. All right, so I got my notes right here. People are wanting to know like what this is right here. It's my steering wheel. So I just thought it would be cute little accent for the video. Okay. So, I got a lot of tips on here, so I'm gonna go down the list. Okay, so the first tip that I have is transitioning is not linear, it's up and down. So what I mean by that is that when you start your transition, especially when you see other trans girls that have made it and everything like that, all the way through to, to where they're happy at in life, and you're like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty, everything like that. I'm gonna just let y'all know right now, transitioning is up and down. There's gonna be some good days, there's gonna be really bad days, and also too, it's gonna be like you took like one foot step forward, and then it's gonna feel like you took 2 steps back, 2 to 3 steps back. So transitioning is not easy. It is, everyone has their own stories. People may seem like they got it together on social media, or they, you know what I mean, but I'm pretty sure there was some, everyone has a story, and everyone's transition is tough. I don't care, like even Jazz, yeah, she's been transitioning since she was like 4 years old, but she still had a lot of issues, like with her, grandparents not accepting her from the, um also watching the show too, like she still deals with social, you know things dealing with being trans. So, and I'm gonna let y'all know my transition was crazy. Like there was days where it was just like, oh my god, like am I gonna make it through this? And then there'd be days where I'm like, oh my god, I got this, so easy, you know. So it is what it is. I'm gonna be honest, some people's transition is a lot easier than some people due to financial, stability, and what your medical insurance can cover and what and not cover, so I can say that, but like I said, everyone's transition is up and down. So don't get discouraged if it gets too hard. So tip number 2 is fear or setbacks, don't let it stop you. So I think I did a couple videos back where like excuses for not transitioning and stuff like that. I'm gonna let you know, any fears or setbacks that you have, just ignore it. That's like literally like your, I think I took psychology class and it's called like the id or whatever. So like it's like your conscience telling you, or like, was it paranoia, stuff like that. Don't listen to that. Like if you feel like this is what you need to do to be happy with yourself, go for it. Don't worry about how it's gonna happen, and don't worry about like what is there to come. Like don't worry about that. Like take it step by step, be in the present. You know what I mean? It's okay to be a little bit in the future, but you always want to come back to the present reality, and stuff like that. So tip number 3 is begin electrolysis or laser hair removal. That's what I did. So before I could get my hormones, because it was like I was on I was being evaluated with my medical insurance, because I wanted to make sure I really was experiencing gender dysphoria and stuff like that. And I was going to see the psychologist and stuff like that. It took me 2 months to get my HRT when I put in for it. So in the meantime, in those 2 months, I went and got laser hair removal. I had the money. um so I began electrolysis, or I did my laser hair removal. I got laser hair removal. So, and the difference between electrolysis and laser hair removal, if you have darker pigment in your skin, electrolysis is more for you. Laser hair removal, it's depending on the pigment in your skin. If you have really dark pigments in your skin, the laser is going to really hurt. And sometimes the electrolysis is a better way to do it, because I feel like I think the darker skin you have, I don't think the laser works all the way. So that's why they have electrolysis as an option too. And electrolysis is basically like an electrical needle, and then they put it right in your hair follicle, and then they zap it, and then take one hair out. It takes a long time, but I mean the results is like awesome. So tip number 4, wear women's underwear if scared, worried, wear men boxers over them. So before I transitioned, when I used to work at this girl clothing store called Charlotte Russe, before I started my transition, to cope with my gender dysphoria and stuff like that, I wore women's underwear. And yeah, and I felt Like, I was a lot happier, and I felt like this is what I should be wearing. Yeah, I mean, we're all adults here, so we're having, like discussions and stuff like that. I don't know. I can just picture people laughing me saying that, but for me, I wore women's underwear, and that's, I went to Victoria's Secret. I bought like my thongs and panties and all that. So yeah, I was pretty happy with that's what I wore, and I was happy doing that, and that helped with my gender dysphoria while I was still waiting for my hormones and stuff like that. And then if you got too worried about like and if you're too worried about like your family or people seeing your underwear when you sit down or whatever, just wear like men's underwear over like briefs or boxers, so you can hide it. For me, I never did that because I was pretty happy with who I was, so I didn't really care if people saw or not. So yeah. Tip number 5 is paint your toenails under your socks and shoes. So when I first started, like, I remember I wanted to paint my nails, but I just was really scared of my family finding out and stuff like that. This was like when I was like a teenager. So what I did was I painted my toenails, and then I just put socks, and I would just wear socks around the house and stuff. But when I would go out and stuff, I would go in my car, take my socks off, and then put on my flip-flops. So that's kind of like what I did to cope with my gender dysphoria, and I was a lot happier and stuff like that. Tip number 5 is um three oh I'm sorry, this is tip number 6. So grow your hair out. That's what Caitlyn Jenner did to cope with her dysphoria. So start growing your hair out. I feel like, and if you are a type of woman that don't care about having long hair, then this tip isn't for you. So, but in the meantime, just grow your hair out. And then if your family or friends, I wouldn't say they not really your friends, but if people like judge you for having long hair because you're perceived as a guy or whatever, just maybe put your hair up in a man bun, you know what I mean, and just be like, oh, it's a man bun, if you're not ready to come out yet, but you are on the verge of coming out. You're just not ready yet, So you could just say it's a man bun and then just put it up in a bun, um, stuff like that. And then also to use products that accelerate your hair growth or prevent hair loss. So there's over-the-counter stuff for that. So yeah. Tip number 7 is buy a bag and have it served as your purse. So what I did is I bought like a unisex bag, and I just used that as my purse. That was like my purse. I even one strapped it too to make it look like it was my purse, you know. So actually I have my bag right here actually. So this is kind of like my bag, and then, stuff like that. So sometimes I would just one strap it and make it, I felt like I was carrying a purse, and that really helped with my gender dysphoria. So that's what I did. Yeah, or you can get like a merce, get like a, stuff like that. Tip number 8 is wears women's perfume and deodorant. People may not even notice it. So before I started, when I was waiting on my hormones, I remember going to Bath and Body Works and Victoria's Secret when I would get my underwear and stuff like that. Also too, oh yeah, another tip with that, like going to Victoria's Secret and like, buying women's underwear and stuff like that. I remember I was very like nervous and scared and stuff like that. So what I did is I brought like my girlfriends with me, so I could go buy some underwear and stuff like that. So if people try to give me problems, or, being by yourself shopping for women's underwear when you're perceived as a gay guy and stuff like that, it is nerve-wracking, because some women will just sit there and be like, oh girl, do you see that? People are really messy like that. So I usually bring my girlfriends and stuff like that with me, so I buy my stuff. Or you can go to like a really cool like associate and be like, hey, I'm trans and I want to start my transition. Can you help me pick out some underwear? Stuff like that. And just so you have somebody with you. Stuff like that. But I've seen some men up in there buying underwear too, but I'm pretty sure they were buying it for their girlfriends and stuff. But with me, I wasn't that bold, so yeah. Yeah, but back to what I was saying. Yeah, where's women's perfume? So when I was at Victoria's Secret buying underwear, I was also buying perfume too that I like. I would just spray like a little bit, like just enough for where I could smell it to help me, cope with my gender dysphoria. A lot of people won't even smell it, and if they do smell it, just be like, oh well, I like this smell. Get assertive with who you are and let them know, like, I like the smell. Okay. And that's all, and that's it. That's it. Don't entertain it. None of that. So, yeah. And then and those people will respect you more too because you stood up for yourself and you didn't have to do all that extra stuff. You know what I mean? Just be like, well, I like the smell. So, yep. Also too, deodorant. I love going to Walmart and buying the gel, the female gel deodorant. I've been wearing that since high school, so that's what I like, and so that helped with my gender dysphoria too. Tip number 8 or 9, I think it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, tip number 9. Sit when you pee. So when you go to the bathroom and stuff like that, just sit down and pee. Um, that helped with my gender dysphoria when I needed to use the bathroom and stuff like that. All right. So tip number 10 is make a new email address and remove the name you were given from birth off your voicemail, or have a generic email. So, I know like a lot of us like with name changes and stuff like that. So my birth name was actually Jordan. For me, I've never changed it. I thought about changing it and I was going by other names, but I like Jordan. I don't know. I just feel like that's my name. I know a lot of biological women that have my name and they spell it just like how I spell it. So, also to like my family, I just felt like it to them, it's like a big deal when they call me she and her pronouns. So I was like, the last thing I want to do is just burden them with like, hey, that's Jordan, it's not my name anymore, it's this, you know what I mean? So I just kept the name Jordan. It worked. I don't really have any problems with it. I mean, I do have a couple, like when I'm out in public and stuff. Before COVID, I used to go out to like a lot of bailando dances, salsa night, going out places like that. And I would meet a lot of men from other countries, and then they would be at these clubs. And a lot of them are like, Jordan, is that your nickname? And I was like, no, it's the name my mom gave me. And they were like, that's a boy's name, but a lot of these guys are from like the Middle East, or a lot of these guys are not from this country. So you just have to tell them, but like, well, other girls, Jordan's both, like it's unisex, like it's both. So, and then I'll just tell them that, and then they'll just leave it alone. So, um, but yeah, but for the other people that are like really have male names, like Robert, John, I would just advise like make a new email, you know what I mean? Also have that be like your generic email, your preferred email, like when you want like Victoria's Secret, or you know what I mean, like when they ask for your email and stuff like that. Also too for off your voicemail too, like redo your voicemail. So stuff like that. And also too, and I know some trans women too that keep their boy name. They just keep it. Like for me, I kept my boy's name, but my name could go both ways. So, you know. And plus I like Goddess Serenity anyways. So, for y'all. Stuff like that. So you don't have to change your name or anything like that. But I'm just saying, like, I think this tip hits home to a lot of women though. So tip number 10 is practice your voice. So for me, I would get a book that I like to read, and then I would read a chapter in each book every night in a high-pitched Mickey Mouse voice, and I would read a chapter of it, and then I would just start slowly talking more feminine, and then now when I go to like McDonald's, Burger King, or I need to call the Chase Bank or whatever, you know, they'll be like, yes ma'am, right on it. So it's like, okay, cool. So you could do stuff like that so that way, like, like, okay, or like call up stores and be like, hey, like, do they have this in stock? And then they'd be like, yes sir, we do, or yes ma'am, stuff like that. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So tip number 11 is um meet other trans people that are emotionally and mentally healthy. Okay, do not avoid people that are negative, overly complains, and then shames themselves or others, because if you hang out with those type of people, their negativity is going to rub off on you. And when you transition, you're going to need all the positive people that you can get, and people that understand you and everything. Because I'm gonna let you know, there was times where I felt like giving up because I didn't have a support group. You know what I mean? So definitely I would, definitely be around positive, healthy people, okay? And people that are, and it helps too that they're trans. So and how you can find them is like Facebook groups. You can go to your medical provider. Usually the psychologists have like transgender groups and stuff like that. Also go to your local LGBT center, where they have, I think they have groups too, support groups for like to connect with other trans people and stuff like that. Um, so yeah. And then the last tip that I have for you guys is start hormones, blockers, or you could start both, you know? So, definitely these are tips and stuff like that that will help you, sorry, let me look back at my notes. Help optional steps before coming out as transgender, okay, male to female. So definitely I hope you guys love this video, and don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay magical.